My family was steeped in the tradition of table tennis. Since childhood, my sister, Michelle, and I were known as the table tennis twins. But the lure of a 50 million prize drove her to naturalize and compete for another country. I, however, chose to fight for our homeland. Our paths converged again on the Olympic stage. To ensure Michelle's victory, I was framed for using performance-enhancing drugs and banned from competing. Later, she even murdered me to silence me. I told everyone that my excellent performance was due to my special paddle. On the day of the official match, Michelle held my paddle triumphantly and sneered, "Sister, this time, I'm sure I'll beat you." My father, perched in the stands, imperiously declared, "This time you must yield the championship to your sister," he proudly announced. "Teresa, even if you win the championship 100 times, it's just a medal. But your sister is different. If she wins, she gets 50 million. My mother chimed in, "That's right, Teresa. Our family has been struggling. For years, your sister has endured so much criticism for changing her nationality. Please, for your mother's sake, give her that title." Hearing these words, I swallowed my bitter resentment. But this was only the round of 64. Even if I yielded, Michelle wasn't guaranteed to win the championship. "That's none of your concern." Father shot me a cold, dismissive glance, then smirked. "Your sister is bound to win. Do you think foreign training methods are like yours? They combine rest and effective training so many times better than you. You're just stubborn and refuse to go along. Otherwise, why would I waste my breath on you?" Watching my parents, who so openly favored my sister, I felt utterly powerless. No matter how many times I relived this, they would always be the same. Unconditionally biased towards my sister, blindly worshipping foreign countries. Michelle and I both grew up in a table tennis family, but from a young age, my parents always doted on her, keeping her by their side. I, on the other hand, was sent to live with our grandparents. This was the only thing I was ever grateful to them for, because my grandparents personally taught me how to play table tennis, instilled patriotism in me, and taught me that no matter what, I must never abandon my homeland. I grew up in that environment. Even as they passed away, they smiled and told me, "Teresa, the prize money for table tennis is very high. If you and Michelle win the championship, we'll never have to worry about food again. Just follow Michelle. Playing table tennis is playing table tennis, no matter where you are." I adamantly refused. In return, I received scolding from my parents and mockery from my sister. "Why are you so unreasonable, sister? Don't you know how to share the family's burden?" My mother yelled. "That empire over there has the most advanced training methods. You truly aren't destined for a comfortable life." My sister sneered, "Teresa, if you don't come with us today, then consider yourself an only child from now on." Looking at their stern faces, I couldn't say I wasn't wavering. But in the end, the patriotism my grandparents had taught me since childhood won out. I ignored their coercion and temptations, firmly refusing. And just as they said, they took my sister and left without a single glance back. I was left alone, without a place to call home, living day to day in hunger. Until my coach, who had known my grandfather, heard of his passing and rushed to see me. He saw my emaciated, yellowish face, wasted from hunger. Thanks to him, I was adopted by the national team. For years, Michelle and I faced each other on the court, and I never once lost. I had hoped my parents would look at me more, wanted to prove with my abilities that my choice was right. But from beginning to end, I only received their disdainful glances, while Michelle was showered with unconditional love and pampering. "Teresa, don't forget where your current life comes from." My mother's voice grew louder as I remained silent. "If you hadn't stolen her nutrition in the womb from a young age, how could she have lost to you game after game?" I took a deep breath and replied coldly, "I've said it many times. The reason I win so often is because my paddle is very good." "That's right, isn't that all you have, sister? Just that paddle?" My sister approached, her tone slow, but her eyes gleamed with malicious satisfaction. "Without that paddle, you're nothing." I fought back the urge to strangle her, simply nodded and turned to leave. But at that moment, Michelle called my name loudly. "Teresa, the domestic training system is useless. Only the empire is the strongest. You should have lost to me sooner. But it's okay, losing to me now isn't too late." She looked at me provocatively. "You'll be miserably defeated by me in front of the whole world, so everyone can see that your training system is completely incomparable to our empires. You fool." I shot her a glance and strode away. Only when I was alone, out of sight, did I finally give in to the dry heaves. The suffocating feeling still clung to me, refusing to dissipate. In my previous life, Michelle and I also met at the Olympics. My parents' first reaction upon hearing the news was to fine me, demanding that I deliberately lose to my sister. Of course, I didn't agree, and I loudly cursed them for being pawns of another country. Strangely, that time, they didn't argue, but just glared at me with resentment before leaving. I knew them well, so this quick concession felt deeply unsettling. But my match was about to begin, and the intense training left no room for other thoughts. Stepping onto the court, I knew I was an athlete who had undergone strict national selection. More than anyone, I wanted to bring home a gold medal for my country. The match unfolded without surprises. I won, even effortlessly, eliminating Michelle from the round of 64 with a dominant 4-0 score. But before I could even celebrate, I was taken away by the disciplinary committee. They said someone had accused me of using performance-enhancing drugs. PEDs? How ridiculous. I even thought someone was playing a prank on me. I was born in this country. How could I use banned substances? And I wouldn't even deign to use them. But reality is always so cruel. When I arrived at the investigation site and saw the two people who accused me, I felt my entire world collapse. My parents, feigning utter agony, looked at me with tear-filled eyes, scolding, "Teresa, what did your mother teach you that you could forget? How could you dare to use PEDs? How could you dare to use them when competing against your own sister?" "That's right, sister." Michelle also pretended to wipe away tears, choking out, "I know my existence puts a lot of pressure on you, but you can't resort to this. You've disappointed me so much." I stared at them, numb, unable to speak. The doubts in my heart were finally answered. It turned out that for the victory of one child, they were willing to sacrifice the honor of the other. Seeing them, I already knew the outcome of the investigation. I numbly accepted all tests. The final result, I actually tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. My water cup was placed right on the table, all eyes fixed on it. The coaches were also looking at me, but I didn't dare turn my head. I didn't dare face their disappointed gaze, even though I was innocent. I tried to appeal, went online many times to explain that it was all orchestrated by my parents. But with the meticulously prepared evidence they presented, I plunged into a chasm of despair. I was banned from competing, while my sister's eligibility for the round of 32 was reinstated. Everyone cursed me. They said I would stop at nothing for victory. They said I made a mistake but only blamed my parents. They said I had no trace of a table tennis family's grace. While I was still vaguely planning my counterattack, Michelle came to find me. She handed me a glass of water, her eyes full of pity. "Sister, I just found out it was all Mom and Dad's doing. I'm sorry, sister, I was wrong." She cried, begging for my forgiveness, and even said she would explain everything to the public. I believed her. I accepted all her fake remorse, seeing her as my last ray of hope. But as soon as I finished that glass of water, my consciousness slowly faded. I felt her drag me into the bathroom, pressing my head into a full bathtub. Only when I was gasping for air did she laugh and whisper, "Did you really think I'd apologize, sister? This is also Mom and Dad's fault for being careless and leaving evidence. I can't let you have a chance to turn the tables." Only when I completely stopped breathing did she let go. She even disgustedly kicked my corpse, sneering, "We're clearly just half-sisters, so why are you better than me? Well, it's good now. No one will compare you to me anymore, Teresa. You can't blame me for any of this. You owe me." After my death, I didn't immediately reincarnate but lingered around the Olympic arena. "But Michelle, the training methods you were always so proud of only got you as far as the round of 32. In the interview, she cried, "We failed my sister. If Mom and Dad hadn't accused her, she wouldn't have committed suicide out of shame." So everyone started to pity her. So everyone cursed me again, saying I deserved to die. But what did I do wrong? The next athlete from Country A, Teresa Stone. Her opponent is Michelle Stone from Country B in previous matches. Teresa Stone of Country A has always defeated Michelle Stone with a 100% win rate. We wonder what surprises they will bring us this time. Let's wait and see. I woke up with a jolt, gripping my paddle tightly. I remembered everything I had prepared. This time, I would definitely win honorably. Michelle smiled at me. "This time, I'm definitely going to win. I'll trample you underfoot in front of millions of spectators." The match quickly began. the commentator's voice echoed in my ears. Teresa Stone's side spin serves are unpredictable. Opponents often make mistakes receiving the ball, helping her score many crucial points. Excellent. 11-9. Congratulations to Teresa Stone for winning the first game. I gently wiped my paddle, looking at Michelle. She wasn't as agitated as in my previous life, no longer screaming after every missed shot. I felt a slight suspicion but remained confident enough to win this match. I raised my paddle, shrugged slightly, rotated my neck, lowered my center of gravity, and looked directly at my opponent. As I raised my hand to receive the ball, a strange sensation from the paddle grew stronger. A direct hit came. I swung my paddle to meet it but missed by just a tiny bit. A murmur ran through the stands. I frowned, stepping back with my left foot, using my right hand to push the ball. My eyes were fixed on the ball, launching a decisive shot towards Michelle, but I lost the point. Michelle shrieked, "Well done, Michelle, keep it up." My parents in the stands also cheered Michelle on relentlessly. Teresa Stone's form today is not good at all. We hope she can quickly regain her form from the first game. I looked at the paddle in my hand. It was clearly the paddle I always used, yet it felt strangely different. Backspin, topspin, forehand spin, backhand spin, the techniques I was most familiar with constantly resulted in errors. I tried my best to jump, turn, and unleash power, but the ball seemed to disobey me, repeatedly grazing the edge of the paddle and falling to the ground. What a shame! Teresa Stone has let Michelle Stone narrow the gap. What's wrong with Teresa Stone today? Her form seems unstable. The score is already 3-1. If she loses one more game, I'll be eliminated. Michelle jumped for joy, glancing at me with a provocative look. Her smile was full of arrogance. My parents, seated in the center of the stands, waved their arms, cheering wildly for Michelle's victory. I looked at my parents in the stands, and in a flash, I remembered my previous life. Every time I scored a point, their eyes would always be full of reproach, as if I were hindering their real daughter. I snapped back to reality, clenching my paddle tightly. When I looked up, I caught Michelle's lips silently forming the words, "You're definitely going to lose, sister." I gritted my teeth, tossed the ball up, and prepared to serve. But at that exact moment, crack, a crisp snapping sound echoed through the silent stands. Teresa Stone's paddle broke, the commentator exclaimed in astonishment. Why did the paddle break? Is this a problem from her team, or did someone intentionally sabotage the paddle? I stared at the paddle in my hand, then at Michelle, who was gloating with a triumphant smirk. In my heart, I understood. In this life, because I always said my victory was due to my paddle, she was stupid enough to tamper with it. Coach called a timeout. I walked off to change my paddle. What happened? Why did the paddle break? Was my poor performance in the previous game also because of the paddle? My coach handed me a spare paddle. The commentator continued, "We all know that table tennis paddles used by athletes are of very high quality. Whatever the reason for Teresa Stone's paddle breaking, we believe the Olympic Committee will thoroughly investigate and bring her justice. At the same time, we hope that Teresa Stone can maintain her composure, turn the tide, and win. Whether she wins or loses, she is still our hero." I wiped the sweat from my forehead and stepped back onto the court. The commentator continued his live broadcast, while reporters crowded around, pointing their cameras at my parents. "What are your thoughts on the match between your two daughters?" My father sneered. "Michelle will prove to the world that Country B's training methods are the most correct and effective. Are you implying that you don't believe your eldest daughter, Teresa Stone, will win?" They glanced at the scoreboard and laughed. "Isn't the result already obvious?" Hearing my parents speak like that, my heart ached a little, but I had long anticipated their reaction. At this moment, nothing could shake my resolve. "Teresa, you've lost. The score is already like this. Why are you still trying?" Michelle gloated. "You've never been chosen by anyone. Don't you understand yet? You were born to be inferior to me." I looked straight into her eyes and slowly said, "So what? As long as someone believes in me, that's enough." "Shut your mouth right now," my coach angrily shouted at my parents. Beep. The whistle blew. I quickly served, for example, my country. In my previous life before I died, the coaches tirelessly sought evidence to clear my name, for example, my fans. They fought online, saying they had watched me grow up and believed I would never do anything wrong. Behind me were countless people who had shed blood and tears to achieve this glory. I could not lose, at least not here. The ball hit the edge of the table and bounced up. "Congratulations to Teresa Stone for winning the first point," Cheers erupted. I looked at Michelle. What was mine, I would take back little by little. My efforts could not be erased by her dirty tricks. The score quickly climbed to 10-3. I held the deciding point in my hand. From the moment I started scoring continuously, Michelle played more and more erratically, unable to even defend against simple shots. I stared at the white ball, serving again. March 11th, Teresa Stone wins this game. The current score is 3-2. The commentator excitedly shouted. We hope Teresa Stone's next match will go more smoothly. We hope all conspiracies and schemes will be exposed in the light. In the stands, my father's face was pale with anger as he turned to whisper something to Michelle. Then he looked at me with hatred. I ignored his gaze, standing still on the court, calmly wiping my paddle. Teresa, you're definitely going to lose, Michelle approached, looking at me with absolute confidence. I glanced at her and said softly, nothing in this world is certain. The match continued. A white ball flew towards me. Receive, hit, hit. These movements, etched into my bones over years, came into play again. This was the result of over a decade of relentless training. Nothing is certain, but when I represent my country, I must win. Excellent, Teresa Stone scores another point. The score is now 9-1. She only needs to win 2 more games to completely turn the tables. Come on, Teresa Stone. What was even more remarkable was that ever since I changed my paddle, it was Michelle who was affected. I looked at her angry, defeated face and picked up the small ball again. No way. She stood rooted to the spot, her eyes wide with disbelief. Clearly you changed my paddle, so why can't I still win? I calmly replied, Michelle, do you really think I win because of the paddle? The white ball whizzed past, but my opponent seemed stunned, standing motionless. 11-1, congratulations to Teresa Stone for leveling the score. The entire stadium erupted in cheers. I raised my hands high, standing in the middle of the court. 2 consecutive games, I had brought the match back to an even footing. Except for my parents and Michelle, everyone rejoiced in my victory. I glanced at my parents. As our eyes met, my father opened his mouth as if to say something. I just smiled, raised a finger to my lips, signaling SHHH, then took my paddle and returned to the table. You knew, didn't you? Michelle gritted her teeth. How did you know? I winked at her. Guess. I didn't hesitate, tossing the ball up and serving decisively. That's the paddle I've used for almost 3 years. You changed it. How could I not recognize it? Hearing me, she turned to glare at our parents, but her hand still couldn't reach the ball in time. A disappointed, "Oh," echoed from the stands. Very proud, aren't you? Michelle gritted her teeth. Do you think I only have one plan? I ignored her, calmly continuing to serve, but unknowingly her playing style became increasingly chaotic. 10-0, this is Teresa Stone's decisive point, the commentator exclaimed excitedly. Will she concede a point to show respect to her opponent, or will she completely crush her? Let's wait and see. Michelle clenched the ball in her hand. I could clearly see she had completely broken down. Og! She screamed, serving one last time. The white ball bounced a few times on the table, finally falling onto her own side of the court. The serve didn't go over the net. 11-0. Let's congratulate Teresa Stone for successfully turning the tide, the commentator yelled from the court. My coach rushed from his seat and embraced me tightly. Excellent, well done, truly amazing. His eyes were red as he repeated, well done, over and over. No one understood better than him what I had gone through to reach this day. No one understood better than him how much injustice I had to endure whenever I met my sister on the court. Today is Teresa Stone's day, and it is also the day for everyone who has stood by her, the commentator excitedly reported. But at that moment, a voice suddenly rang out. I want to accuse. A statement like thunder struck the arena. I looked towards the referee. My parents stood before him, whispering something. I want to accuse Teresa Stone of using performance-enhancing drugs before the match. The court immediately erupted in chaos. What the hell are they talking about? My coach whirled around to face them, angrily shouting, Do you two know this is slander? Why can't you accept Teresa's victory? Is Michelle your only child? He was so angry his eyes were bloodshot. For years, every time you two came back, do you know how much injustice Teresa had to endure? Now you even want to destroy her future? I looked at my coach, standing protectively in front of me. In my previous life, it was also him who stood up for me, preventing all humiliation when other coaches doubted me. He was the one who stood up and said, I trust the girl I trained. When I fell into despair, he told me, As long as you don't give up, the truth will come to light someday. But in my previous life, I didn't live to see that day. She framed it, my mother sneered. She knows best what she did in her heart, doesn't she? Didn't she just want to prove she was better than her sister, to the point of resorting to these methods? She confidently jutted her chin out. We demand that athlete Teresa Stone of Team A be tested to restore fairness to the Olympics. My coach was about to step forward to argue, but I raised my hand to stop him. What if I didn't use them? I looked straight into my mother's eyes. What if I never used performance-enhancing drugs, slandering a competing athlete? If, from now on, any of my mistakes are attributed to psychological pressure from your accusations, can you bear the consequences? But my mother still smiled confidently. I know you best, child. I know that since you were little, you've always wanted to prove yourself to us. But some methods are unacceptable, my child. Sister, are you saying Mom and Dad are framing you? Michelle immediately interjected. Then, how do you explain why you played poorly in the first few games, but then suddenly regained your form? She frowned, feigning distress. I know you've always wanted to steal Mom and Dad's love for me, but you can't use this method. Can't she see Teresa's paddle broke? My coach angrily roared. I took a deep breath, keeping my calm, then turned to the inspection team. I will cooperate with the inspection, but I also hope you will provide me with an explanation. Saying that, I chose a blood test to save time. The test had just concluded when my father suddenly rushed in, flustered. He stammered, I misremembered. Teresa Stone didn't use performance-enhancing drugs for this match. The entire stadium was stunned. No one understood what trick he was playing now. I just stood still, looking at him coldly. It was the same in my previous life. After I completed the test honorably, he also rushed in, telling everyone that I hadn't had time to drink the stimulant. And then the inspection team found a small amount of undissolved banned substance in my water cup. But this time, I won't let you achieve your goal. What's the point of testing only me? Before they could retort, I calmly said, why not test Michelle too? What nonsense are you talking about? My father glared at me. How could Michelle be like you? She has no reason to use PEDs. That's right, sister. Michelle's face paled, but she still tried to defend herself. Since childhood, Mom and Dad taught me to compete fairly. What reason do I have to use performance-enhancing drugs? I narrowed my eyes and calmly replied, after losing so many previous matches to me, isn't that enough to make me feel secure? Why would I need to use performance-enhancing drugs? My words left my father speechless. He gritted his teeth, finally pushing Michelle in front of the inspection committee. Michelle, prove to them that you're innocent. Michelle looked around, saw everyone watching intently, bit her lip, and resolved to enter the testing room. Teresa Stone, don't get ahead of yourself. My father looked at me with hatred. Michelle is definitely innocent, but you, not so sure. I glared at him. Innocent or not, let's wait for the test results to speak. My coach coldly added, after the results are out, I also have something to say to you too. My father saw our firm attitude and said nothing more. He just folded his arms, leaned back in his seat, his eyes half closed, awaiting the results. But when Michelle emerged, he opened his eyes and gently comforted her. The waiting time always felt endless. It wasn't until the sun began to set that the inspection personnel emerged from the room with extremely grim expressions. So, did Teresa Stone use performance-enhancing drugs? My father immediately rushed forward, questioning rapidly. Michelle also widened her eyes, full of hope, but the inspection personnel merely glanced at them coldly, their eyes full of contempt. Under the expectant gaze of everyone, they slowly began to speak. Based on our test results, athlete Teresa Stone showed no signs of using performance-enhancing drugs. As for athlete Michelle Stone, Michelle's face instantly turned pale. Me, what about me? Tell me quickly. The inspection personnel calmly continued. In athlete Michelle Stone's blood, we detected a small amount of undissolved performance-enhancing drugs. The entire Olympic arena was plunged into a deathly silence. The inspection personnel looked at Michelle and said coldly, according to competition regulations, you are disqualified from continuing in the Olympics. No way, Michelle screamed in despair. I've never touched performance-enhancing drugs. How can there be banned substances in my blood? My mother also rushed forward frantically. Are you mistaken about the results? The one who should have tested positive is that wretched Teresa Stone. Our Michelle is innocent. Enough, my coach roared. How long do you intend to keep lying to yourselves? Whether you use them or not, don't you know in your own hearts? I didn't, Michelle shrieked frantically. My coach smirked coldly. You didn't? Or were your parents afraid you couldn't beat Teresa, so they secretly gave you performance-enhancing drugs? Either way, our Teresa is innocent. Mr. Stone, you'd best prepare yourself for a lawsuit from our legal team. No way, my father glared at me, gritting his teeth. Is it you? Did you know about this beforehand? I merely shrugged. What should I have known? That you're always trying to harm me just so your younger daughter can win? My father opened his mouth to say something but then couldn't utter a word. What else could he say? What else could I expect from him? It's all your fault for harming me. Michelle seemed to understand the problem, her eyes red as she glared at my father. Only you have performance-enhancing drugs, you must have harmed me, she stammered. I kept feeling unwell today, so it was all your doing, she shrieked. I told you, as long as Teresa Stone's paddle was ruined, I would definitely win, so what other tricks were you playing? Initially, my father felt a little guilty, but when he heard Michelle expose everything, his expression completely changed. He yelled, not bothering to defend himself. It was all for you. Who told you that you were inferior to Teresa Stone since childhood? If you were on par with her, would I need to do this? It's 50 million. Who told you that you're so useless? Hearing that, Michelle couldn't bear it anymore. She lunged at my father, slapping him hard across the face. It's all your fault, all your fault. The two of them furiously pushed and hit each other. I took 2 steps back, unwilling to be involved in this madness. The pain of being murdered by my father in my previous life still seemed to be deeply etched in my heart, as if it had happened just yesterday. Moreover, his current psychological state made me feel even more uneasy. Sister, why, no matter what methods I use, can't I drag you down? Michelle suddenly stopped, her red eyes fixed on me. Why won't you go to hell with me? She sobbed, her voice hoarse. Why are you so excellent? Why can I never be as good as you? Michelle Stone, calm down. I watched her cautiously, stepping back. You still have many things, at least you still have parents who love you. I continued to maintain my distance, ready to react if anything unexpected happened. But before I could move further, *bang, she lunged and slammed the door shut. Don't mention them, they only love money, she screamed. You tell me to calm down, do you think I can be calm? Her hands suddenly tightened around my neck. I struggled, but she wouldn't let go. My life is over, so you go to hell with me, she whispered. In the next life, let's reincarnate together. This time, you'll be my younger sister, you'll forever be inferior to me, she laughed maniacally. Trembling, I grabbed the glass of water on the table, summoning all my strength to smash it against her head. Crack! Red blood poured down my face, even seeping into my nasal cavity, making me choke. But even so, she wouldn't let go. My vision gradually blurred. Reality and the past seemed to overlap. I was once again experiencing the despair of being suffocated. Could I still not escape my fate? No matter what, at least in this life, I died innocently. Crash, a loud noise echoed. Teresa, let her go. A shout rang out, followed by flashing camera lights. Get out of the way. I heard my coach's scream, then felt the pressure on my neck suddenly disappear. Call medical personnel, quickly. I gasped for air, unable to even wipe the blood from my face. Michelle lay on the floor, lifeless, like an empty shell. Security personnel escorted her away. It's okay. Don't be scared, you're safe now, my coach continuously whispered in my ear. Only when the medical staff confirmed multiple times that I was not in serious danger did he breathe a sigh of relief. What's wrong with you? My coach suddenly roared. You knew she had bad intentions, so why did you let her in? What if I had arrived a moment later? He was so angry his chest heaved. Teresa, it wasn't easy for you to get this far. If you died here, how would I face your grandfather? I smiled, picking up my paddle. I'm fine, coach. Let's go, we have training. I still have a match tomorrow. My coach's face darkened as he looked at me. Teresa Stone, your body is not for you to abuse like this. Don't participate in tomorrow's match. The team doesn't lack one of your medals. I remained silent for a long time, then whispered, But coach, how can I be at peace? We looked at each other, neither willing to yield. Finally, he gave in. He waved his hand helplessly and turned to walk away. But as he turned his back, I still caught a glimpse of a tear glinting in the corner of his eye. I advanced to the finals. Despite my coach's objections, I still went out to compete, and I won with a decisive 4-0 score, successfully reaching the final match. When the last ball hit the ground, my coach rushed up and hugged me tightly. Excellent, Teresa, truly outstanding. In the stands, my coach beamed with pride because of me, but my parents, they just glared at me full of anger. Your sister is still young, why can't you yield to her a little? My mother screamed. You didn't die anyway, so why be so selfish? Why won't you forgive her? Teresa Stone, my father also yelled, you must sign the forgiveness form for your sister. You must forgive Michelle. It was as if he had forgotten everything that had happened before. Are you too insane? My coach was about to speak, but I stopped him. He gritted his teeth, looking at them coldly. There's a limit to favoritism. Your daughter only lost her career, but our Teresa almost lost her life. I looked at my parents. They seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. I spoke, asking them one last question. So what about me? Am I not your real daughter? They opened their mouths but said nothing. Seeing them like that, I knew the last thread binding us had finally snapped. Let's go, coach. I turned and left. There was nothing left to say. Under the bright lights, I walked out the door and handed the organizing committee the video footage of my parents putting performance-enhancing drugs into my water cup. From that moment on, I was truly on my own. As my parents were taken away by the police for questioning, I entered the finals. The media scrambled to report on me. All the upheavals in my life, all the suffering I had endured, were laid bare for all to see. Some called me the table tennis phoenix, a girl who was strong, tragic, and beautiful. Before the match, my coach showed me the live comments online. No matter the outcome, in our hearts, Teresa Stone is already a legend. My coach patted my shoulder, speaking softly. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Whatever the result, you don't need to be too sad. But how could I not care? Winning 100 matches out of 100 is not easily achieved. Every victory is the sweat, tears, and blood of our predecessors. How could I easily give up for these trivial matters? Having come this far, I would not give up easily. In this world, there is no such thing as a table tennis phoenix. There is only grueling daily training, blood, sweat, and tears, but absolutely not just natural talent. The commentator's voice echoed over the loudspeaker. I held my paddle and stepped onto the court. I looked at my opponent standing on the other side of the table, gripping my paddle tightly. Beep! The match began. I served. 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. Finally, I played with exceptional form, winning with a decisive 4-0 score. Congratulations to Teresa Stone. The white ball hit the ground. The entire stadium erupted. They chanted my name nonstop. I stepped onto the podium to receive my medal, looking at the national flag fluttering behind me. The national anthem swelled in my ears. More than a decade of not being loved, all the humiliation and injustice in this moment all vanished. I would never again allow myself to be bound by trivial things. The applause lifted me up. Flowers rained down upon me. I was born to fight for my country.